Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to PsychCandy for Tuesday, August 16th. Sorry I missed you guys yesterday. I've been kind of under the weather a little bit, but I think that I am finally coming out of that slightly, somewhat. So we'll see. So bear with me if I'm kind of gravelly this morning. But so good to see you. Graciela, Mark, Amy, everybody watching out in YouTube land. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got some really exciting things coming up for you this week. Going to be doing a special show on Thursday with a very special co-host. We're going to be talking about magic. Magic in our life. And how does magic and psychology actually connect? Because they do. It's going to be a very interesting show. I'm not going to give you too much. I want you, we'll drop little tidbits along the way. But at any rate, Huck, good to see you. Today I'm talking to you about authenticity. But more importantly, Chris, welcome, man. And real quick before I start, guys, Chris Rossetti that just popped into the to the audience down here. He has a show that comes on. It is actually be after my show. It'll come on at 12 noon, and it's the antidepressant of the day. And if you guys have not heard his show, and if you're not following, I encourage you to please do so because it's really always uplifting, Chris. I love what you do, man. So the topic that I'm going to be sharing with you today, though, is how do we stay authentic when we're surrounded by fake? When you're surrounded by lots of people or groups that just are inauthentic. How do we stay authentic? Now, I spoke about this a lot. And this particular article, I really love. I got to work on this as a collab project with Professor Thelma Smythe, and she is just an amazing person when it comes to sociology and how we interact with each other and so forth. So we sat down one day and came up with this topic, or this article, rather. So I'm going to dive into it. We're going to kind of pause along the way. I am going to go ahead and let you guys know that this particular show, I am going to open the stage up at the end for you guys to come up and make comment, ask questions, or share something, as it relates to this, because it's important that we do and able to share our own experiences sometimes, because it can help others. We all come from our very unique perspective in our life because we're all unique individuals. So that's all very important stuff. It can be challenging, right, to hold on to that authenticity when you are surrounded by people who seem just to be fake. And we live in a very fake oriented society right now, and it's sad. Whether it's at work or community interactions or any other social encounter, it can be awkward to know how to respond without compromising your own internal guide, so to speak. A fake laugh, unreasonably bubbly personality, or tone of voice that is incongruous with what is going on can be more than just off-putting. It can actually influence interactions and really throw us off, make us jump track a little bit. So why does that lack of authenticity impact us, and how? Like, on the surface, it seems as though others that lack authenticity or even outright fake their behavior shouldn't impact us much, right? I mean, after all, we live in this pleasantly open, you do you, boo, kind of mentality, right? So what does it really matter? Dealing with inauthentic people a lot very much impacts our own thoughts, feelings, behaviors. We learn a lot about people with the subtle, unspoken cues that we receive during conversations. We are hardwired to pick up on these nuances, which we translate into information that guides our own responses and behaviors. When we're faced with fake behavior, we don't necessarily know what to do with it. And then, without even realizing it, our internal interpreters are asking questions, right? Are they hiding something? Can I trust them? Do I need to watch my back or be careful what I say? We are less likely to feel safe enough to be vulnerable with people who are fake or inauthentic. And when we perceive someone isn't being real with us, we naturally are going to feel guarded around them. And all of this is exhausting. And it's way, way, way too much work. Which is why it's a very good idea to have some general guidelines when engaging with someone who seems to be fake. So how do we stay authentic, regardless of other people? Like, even if you're surrounded by people who struggle with it, you can stay true to your genuine self and stand firm in your own authenticity. Don't take their difficulty personally. Dealing with people who seem inauthentic can feel insulting. It can feel as though a fake person is just lying, with their behaviors, and that just feels uncomfortable. And when people struggle with being authentic, it's usually a reflection of their own relationship with themselves. So in short, it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. There may be some underlying social anxiety or fear of judgment, or many other reasons, for the struggle, but none of which is connected to interacting with you specifically. And that's where a lot of people fall short, because we take things so personal. And in addition, and I've shared this before in relation to even other topics or other portions of our life with relationships, but when we've been wronged or we've gone through those bad moments and we start having trust broken and things like that, well, when we're put into a situation where somebody's being fake with us or being inauthentic, well, that right there is already putting us into that place of we can lose sight of our own position, our own guidelines. You have to think about authenticity as a skill, because it really is. It's a skill. It's easier to put on whatever mask seems fitting for the situation, show the world that what you think they want to see. But showing up as yourself without social masking, that, my friend, is brave. And this is not something that comes easy to some people. If you have a skill that others struggle with, that has nothing to do with you, and it should not minimize your own access to that part of yourself. In fact, someone who struggles with authenticity is likely observing your ability and wishing they could access that level of comfort within themselves and others. So, in other words, if we can maybe put ourselves into a position of, I want to be the best authentic me that I can be. And if that pours off on somebody else that's struggling, wow, that's what I want to do. I want to help somebody else elevate. Because when I'm doing that, I'm also helping myself elevate. I get to rise above that struggle. I get to rise above that position. And I'm going to tackle that fake mindset. I'm going to rise above the shallow surface fake people that are out there surrounding us every day. You know, we have to stay grounded. You got to stay grounded and centered in yourself. Excuse me. If you find yourself veering off course, when you're around those fake people, well, set aside some time alone to reconnect with yourself and try some mindfulness exercises. And in that, be mindful about who you are. Be mindful about how you interact, what you say, how you say it. Is it true? Is it fake? Excuse me. That's the problem. Is a lot of times now, if you attach or you're around a lot of people who are fake, well, you start being fake. You start hiding or masking that actual authentic portion of you because maybe you're trying to thwart an argument. Maybe you're trying to thwart a situation. Maybe you just want to fit in and go home. Don't do that, because as you start planting those even temporary seeds, you're not just making something temporary, you're planting something that could become like what would seem like a permanent fixture in your position, in your mindset. So when you're in those moments, though, and trying to be mindful, close your eyes, center yourself, breathe for a minute, notice what's going on with you, notice what you're saying, engage with your senses, listen to the sound of your environment. When you do this, it can help you shake off the pretension that can hang heavy when you're dealing with those inauthentic people, the fake people. Another thing is showing compassion. And when I say that, I mean we have to start off that we're going to show compassion to ourselves. If you're feeling brave, ask the person who's struggling with authenticity a few compassionate questions or comments. And this works best if it is, a one-on-one, maybe sit-down situation, to avoid putting them on the spot or potentially embarrassing them. But when an authentic person invites someone to share vulnerability, it's a powerful invitation and can be emotionally moving at times. Even asking simple questions such as, hey, how are you? Like, really, how are you? And taking the time to actually listen or offering observations about the person's strengths can make room for authenticity. Now, I want to comment on that. How many times a day do you cross people's paths? Hey, man, how are you? Hey, love, how are you doing? Are you really, genuinely, and authentically entering that moment that you've asked that question? And do you really care what the answer is? Have you sometimes heard, well, I've been better, but I'm all right. How are you? That's a cue, my friends. They're not okay. But do you care that they're not okay? Because you open the door and ask the question. And I really do. I've had plenty of moments in my life, plenty of moments in my past, that I would, pass somebody on the street or pass somebody that I know, where they're, hey, man, what's going on? How are you? Sorry, can't stay right now. Talk to you later. Well, I started thinking about that. I was like, and I told myself this. I was like, dude, shut up, man. Don't ask it if you don't actually want to know it. Don't ask it if you're not going to actually sit and listen to what they say, and that you're not going to give that attention. And I've had people come at me like, well, I'm not going to be rude. Of course I'm going to ask, how their day is. I was like, well, okay, but why? Why are you going to ask how their day is? Do you care how their day is? Are you going to sit and engage with them if their day is not okay? or are you just expecting the surface pleasantries? Let's just stick to the fake surface pleasantries. And they were being polite. They were being nice. Well, you're also being a little bit inauthentic. I want to be authentic. So, taking something that simple, of just that one simple question, how are you? Mean it. Mean it when you say it. You know? Now, this invitation can feel very refreshing for people who are not generally able to share true feelings with others. It may be your invitation to share that helps them feel more comfortable being genuine and authentic in that moment and move on from that place. Sorry, don't mean to keep coughing in your guys' ear. Um, but see, this is one of the areas that, I mean, this, man, we could I could tie this into probably another full show, but the point is that we have to be mindful of what we allow to connect to our conscious interactions with other people. But in that, we also have to be aware, what are we building as our working structure within ourself? I want to be genuine. I want to be authentic. I want to, when I talk to somebody, you know, I want them to know that I'm listening. When I talk to somebody, I want to know that they're listening. You know, I had a whole topic about toxic people not too long ago, and I shared the story of at the beginning of this year, I cut a lot of people out of my life, and you know what one of the factors was in my mental list? Is this person a genuine person, or are they just kind of faking their way through it, and there's really no authenticity there? And those are the people that I just sadly had to say, hey, I wish you all the best, but I'm going to close this door now. Because sometimes some of those people that I cut off, I mean, they'd been in my life or connected to me in some fashion for years, but there was never any growth. There was never any elevation. There was never any vulnerability from their end. There wasn't any of that. It was just a drain on me. It was a drain every time I saw them. It was a drain every time we had a conversation. Now, if you have people like that in your life, you got to think about that. Now, we're all human beings. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to say the wrong things sometimes. We're all going to go through, our normal human lives and deal with ourselves being individual, creative, unique people. But in that, we also can't give up or lose sight of the important attributes and the important value system that we're going to place number one within ourselves. Am I authentic? Am I honest? Have I lost my ability to actually trust in conversations? Or just to trust in general? Have I lost my ability to show and feel genuine compassion, empathy, care, value? These are important. Society as a whole has gotten so shallow based, fake, surface. And some people have just lost the ability to, you talk to them about depth. it doesn't register. It's not clicking. In a preempt of this show, I was reading over this article and making some notes that I wanted to share. And last night, I was just kind of doing my own little research project. And I went through, and don't worry, I'm not going to sit here and berate social media for the next hour, but I'm going to say this. I did a little mini research on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and I looked at just kind of what the popular trends were. Okay. And it was, there was let's put it this way, there was maybe 10% of everything that popped up actually had some measure of value to it. 10%. The rest, shallow. Shallow, surface, fake, vain, you know, but no depth. And the other part that I noticed is the amount of people that, man, and maybe I'm looking at it too much from a psychology perspective, but I mean, sorry, that's what I do. But the point is, so many people that I could see, like, you are reaching out for the wrong level of recognition and compassion because you've lost compassion for yourself. That is what I saw. I saw insecurity. I saw lack of self awareness. Plenty of people very aware of how their hair looks. Can you see the proper amount of cleavage in that picture? Can you, look at my makeup? Look how hot I am. Watch me dance. Guys, immaculately groomed, doing your thing. Okay, that's all great. But what is it? What is it facilitating? Is it bringing out that value portion of yourself? Is our looks and how we fake it, or using the right lingo when we talk, or doing all those things, is that what brings our value? Is that what makes us authentic? But have we lost that other part of, I deserve more than, I'm above, I'm not going to be below, I'm not going to live in the dregs of just everything else that everybody else is doing. I want to be different. But more importantly, I want to be me. I want to be uniquely, creatively, and dynamically me. But most of what I looked at last night, same. In addition to that, it was hurt, depression, has been emotionally abused, has been demeaned, has been degraded, has made that their norm. That was a cycle I saw, and it made me sad. Really did. It just kind of made me sad. Made me just, ugh. So when I looked at this aspect of authenticity versus fake, well, just like I was sharing a minute ago, sometimes you showing your level of that authenticity could be that opening door for somebody else that struggles with it to actually give it a chance. And you never know. It could just be that one person. And if I'm able to be authentic and help even one person break past their insecurity to try to be authentic, I'll accept it. I'll take that one person and let that be the one person I helped for an entire week. We want to spread our good attributes. We want to spread I want to be infectious with happy and elevation. I want to be infectious with, I want to be better and I want you to be better. I want to continue to break through some of my own struggles. I go through the same struggles you guys do. I go through the same headspace sometimes that you guys do. I get down. I get mad. I say the wrong things, and but we elevate though, as long as we can continue to see it, learn from it, and continue to want to help ourselves, but also continue to be compassionate to others. And again, I say that with the scope, obviously. You got people around you or whatever that simply are just abusive, mean people. Well, then you take care of you and you maintain your own authenticity. And part of that authenticity is, I will not let myself live in this situation. Be it at work, be it with friends, be it with a lover, be it with family. Because too many people get into that rut, and then guess what? You start abusing yourself. You start hurting yourself. So, maintain. Be clear. Reevaluate that relationship that you have with yourself. Try to build and understand that you are the only person that will ever be the author an editor of your own authenticity. Nobody else. Can somebody else be a catalyst to help you get there? Absolutely. But they're not going to do it for you. You got to do it yourself. And as far as the fake people, I'm sorry that you feel you have to live that way. You don't. You could make a choice. And if you're connected to a bunch of fake people, I promise you, with 25 years under my belt, I promise you, those fake people are making you less than because they're draining you. They're draining some of your resources that you need to put to yourself. Disconnect from it. Get to that mindful place where you're able to look at you and just take care of you. Guys, I do want to take a moment. We're not going to spend a ton of time here. Thank you so much for that. We're not going to take a ton of time here, but if you would like to come up and share a thought or ask a question, I'm going to invite you now. And while I wait to see if anybody's going to do that or not, I do want to invite you again. I've got some really powerful shows coming up. Absolutely, Graciela, going to bring you up here. I got some good shows coming up this week. I invite you, please don't miss it. Graciela, welcome. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. What a great show. Thank you so much for all of that. And did you notice that the root the is the same root as author? It's the
Yes,
same root
there
of
you
the
go.
word. Yes.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, excellent
Oh my
stuff there.
goodness. Yeah, I speak about this all the time as well. And it's so hard, really, because of all of the opposition and all of the negativity around us. It's really hard not thematically dive into people pleasing or accommodating others. But when you do that, you give up yourself. You give up what you really came here to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's part of it is that we get so balanced in that um, it's just that superficial routines
Right.
sometimes that happen, and it really does. It takes us away from really paying attention to us.
Correct. Yes. And then it becomes, a vicious cycle, and all of a sudden you're depressed and you're wondering what went wrong. And it really
That's
started,
right.
yeah, it really started with you giving up what you really wanted to do or say or create. And it can become very toxic. So I want to thank you
Absolutely.
for.
Graciela, thank you so much for being here. And Chris, welcome up to the stage, man. So good to see you. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity to join you for just a minute. Great
Absolutely.
information, great inspiration, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. So do you. I love your show.
You were talking about authenticity and
Yes, sir.
authentic people, and reminds me of something that happened to me years ago. I was sitting in the lobby of a church where I was about to go speak to a congregation to encourage them, and I was not feeling encouraged myself. You know what I mean? One of those moments.
Right, right.
And a longtime member of the church walked into the lobby. She saw me without missing a step, missing a beat. As she passed me, she said to me, "How are you doing today?" You mentioned about when people say, "How are you doing?" but
That's
really mean
right.
it. And she said, "How are you doing today?" And I said, "Oh, fine." I was kind of like just brushing it off, blowing it off. You know what I mean? And then I said, "Oh, fine." And she said to me, without even looking at me, she walked into the auditorium, "Then notify your face."
I love that.
So I love when people
I
can
love
be
that.
honest and be authentic. Thank you. Have a great day.
Chris, thank you so much, man. I so appreciate you. I love that. Notify your face. All right, let's see. We are going to also bring Huck up here, I think. Here we go. Huck, how are you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Perfect. I was No, I just want to say thank you for everything that you had to say. And, thank God for podcasts because they actually force you to listen.
That's true. That's true. You got to make kind of that choice, don't you?
Yeah, I just have helpful tip notes because I listen to everything that you had to say.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
And,
I think I'm
and
going to pack a notebook around because I think that, yeah, as a person to talk to me sticker constantly on my forehead, no matter where I go. you can still lose your authenticity even being that person. And it's simply, I think, because you've become so numb to things going on around you, because so many people are going through the same thing that you are going through, but yet everyone feels so alone in what they have, that they get so wrapped up in, I'm so alone. I'm the only one who feels this way because I'm so alone, when everyone feels the same. And so I think what everything you said is perfectly exactly right. Don't ask someone something if you don't want to hear what they have to say back. Like I said, take it back to kindergarten. This is what I'm learning. Let's go back to kindergarten. Let's go back to circle time. If you don't have anything nice to say, let's not say anything at all. And then what that guy just said was freaking hilarious. And notify your face beforehand. And so as you're saying it, you don't let something out. Your body language, that affects it. Don't say, I'm so happy, but then you look like you want to punch somebody in the face. That's complete contradictory. I don't think that's going to work for you, man.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for coming up here, and thank you for being here. And Graciela and Chris, thank you guys so much for coming up here and sharing in this moment. It also brings up about one thing I'm thinking of is, you know, when we think of think about energy. Think about the energy that we number one we generate on ourselves. Think about the energy we put into life. I mean, energy is transferring, right? So when you get around somebody that's got negative energy, and then you bring in that negative energy, well, if you don't do something about that or do something with that negative energy, guess what? Now you've just let that seed get planted inside of you. Now sometimes we start operating with that kind of low hum negative energy that's going on because we never really dealt with it, but we pulled it in. Now we start operating from a negative energy perspective. That brings about sometimes those situations where, oh yeah, I'm doing great, and yeah, you look like you're about to punch somebody in the throat. But the point is that that negative is one of those catalysts that can start making you won't share, you're not being true, you're not being authentic, you're not being real, you're not divulging your feelings, you're not resolving your feelings. You start to compartmentalize, you start to sweep things under the rug, you start to hope for the best. Don't ever get to a place that you're living your life that you're just hoping for the best. Decide what the best is going to be for you, and then you make the steps necessary to get you to that place. That's one of the most important things that you can do, because when we start realizing that negative that gets around us sometimes, or that gets poured in by other people, and we deal with it, now you're building a practice that, number one, is going to maintain your authenticity with yourself first, and then the authenticity with everybody that you engage with. That is gold, my friend. If you could harness that, you're set. Harness that, you're good to go in many other areas of our life and many other struggles that we face, emotionally, and just dealing with other people, and also just getting to that point where, when we look at our own compassion with us, our own empathy, our own ability to be vulnerable. We have to be vulnerable very first and foremost with us. Be vulnerable with yourself, and then allow yourself to start being vulnerable with others. Even if you've been hurt before in the past, even if you've gone through those struggles and those deep, dark times and all those things, because we all have. Well, learn to be vulnerable, though, to allow yourself to work past it, elevate above it, learn from it, get strength, grow. That is so valuable. I like what Elizabeth just said on the back end. When you stay true to yourself, you dim the faker's light. I love that. When you stay true to yourself, you dim the faker's light. That right there. That's what I want to do. I want to dim their light. I want to dim the light on inauthentic people. I want to dim the light on energy drainers. I want to dim the light on the just depression seekers, drama seekers, all of those things that just tear other people down. So it's very important. Take special notice. What do you have? What are you connected to? What are you plugged into? What's your power source? And make sure that your power source is healthy, elevating, uplifting, loving, compassionate, empathetic, that it hears you and hears your heart, hears the beat, hears your rhythm. Because we all have our own rhythm. And that's what makes us so amazingly beautiful. Guys, I love you to death. Thank you so, so much for being here. Thank you for being part of this. All the guys that came up here on the stage, thank you for coming and sharing. Please don't miss the next 3 days with me. I've got some really powerful shows lined up. I appreciate you too being patient with me. I've been getting over some kind of something, and so I'm finally feeling better today than I was yesterday. So it's all good stuff. But I appreciate you guys so much. If you haven't been to my website, please go check it out, psychcandy.org. And again, I'll be back with you tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. right here on Fireside. And guys, I'm going to invite you. Please stick around. Chris Rossetti is starting his show right now. If you haven't heard the antidepressant of the day, I invite you. Please go listen to it. You won't be sorry. Guys, I love you. Much love and light to you. Be blessed for the rest of your day. And until next time, be happy, be healthy, and most importantly, be you. Cheers.
It's no secret